Welcome to the Esmeralda Town Hall. This was requested at a couple of our council meetings, and it's been put together by Esmeralda. They did an outstanding job on this. So have your questions ready for these guys. One thing I want to do, since we're in the Vets building, I'd like you guys all to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. All right, I want to welcome, first of all, I want to welcome I see all the council members are here. Thank you for showing up. They were a big part in making this happen and coordinating with Esmeralda. And also I want to thank Esmeralda, Devin Zugel, Michael Yarney, and Pavel Petrov. Hopefully, Pavel, I got that correct. Are we good? All right. All right. This town hall, it was created to address community questions that have been coming up. We did have some surveys we went through, water surveys. It turned into Esmeralda thing. That was kind of the driver for this. And we put it out on some social media. Esmeralda did. And we've got a lot of questions that came across, which are the ones they're going to address. They did the frequently asked questions. They came up with the answers. Also, they know, that's why we have the podium. We're going to have people up here with any questions that they don't answer. We will have you up here. I please ask, we only have till 8:30 in the building. We have a hard stop till 8:30. So we are going to keep the questions to about 3 minutes each. I will stand at the podium and help you, let you know if you're coming up on 3 minutes, but please ask your questions. Along with the questions, make sure that we don't want to have any repeat questions, because I know we're going to have a lot of them. We want people to listen to the ones that are said. If it answers your question, great. If not, come up and ask it. That way we can move through this and let people get everything out that they have to get out. One thing I did want to say, this is not a city meeting. Since I have a full complement of council here tonight, we are sitting back. We are facilitating for Esmeralda. So we will roam around, talk to you, but council is just going to sit back, and we're also learning on this project also. That's all I've got. I mean, like I said, I want to introduce Devin. Come on up, Devin Zugel, CEO of Esmeralda Land Project.
Thank you so much, Brian. That was a great introduction. And thank you all for being here. As Brian mentioned, I'm Devin. I'm the founder of the company. And my colleague Michael, who will introduce himself in a bit, is here as well. And we're gonna start with the presentation. So the structure for this evening is, first we're gonna give a quick overview of the project, because I'm seeing a bunch of new faces here, and we want to make sure everyone understands sort of the high-level plan. Then the presentation will get into the top questions that we've received, and we will get to answer some of those, which will hopefully preempt some of the questions that you might want to ask by coming up to the podium. And then anything that we miss, we're going to have everybody line up, and Mayor Wheeler is going to MC that as well and make sure that we move things along. So.
I also want to make sure, please, there's an extremely detailed, thorough response to the questions. We printed them out, it's in the back. So please, if you didn't get one, please grab one. It's we hope it's helpful.
And if the handout in the back does not answer your questions, there's actually an even more detailed FAQ on our website as well, which will be esmeralda.org/FAQ, and that link will be up on the website, up on the slides in a moment as well. First of all, we just want to say a huge thank you to the Veterans Memorial Hall for hosting us here, and also to the Beat for providing the delicious food. I'm also going to say, after this, if there's any food left, please take it, but otherwise we're going to have to bring it home, and we'll have to be the ones to eat it. All right, so Esmeralda, what is it that we're here to talk about tonight? We're talking about our proposed revisions to the previously approved plan. And we'll get into a lot more detail on that, but one of the things that we wanted to emphasize is, well before our company got involved, there's actually a plan for that site that was already approved with housing, hotel, commercial, some light industrial, and what we're proposing is to make some modifications to that plan. And so tonight, as we mentioned, the City Council did an amazing job gathering questions, and that's really what guided the structure of this whole presentation. I want to give a particular shout out to Andres for suggesting that we have this big list of questions, to Mayor Wheeler for emceeing this and making sure that this is all well organized, and to all of the council members for helping collect the questions and always doing a great job at relaying information to us from the community. So this is that URL I mentioned. We'll have it up at the end as well, so you don't have to write it down just yet. All right, so firstly, where is the site? Since it's currently privately owned and closed, we wanted to make it clear sort of where it is, and so once it's opened up as a new neighborhood for Cloverdale, everyone knows how it relates to the rest of town. So it's on the southeast end of town, and it's already inside the city boundaries. We're really excited to be part of Cloverdale and be as connected as possible to the rest of town. This is a photo from the site. It's absolutely stunning, even though it actually has a long history of industrial uses and agricultural uses. It's really this just beautiful, beautiful piece of property with a view of the Nine Palace. Can you get the lights back on? I think people. Yeah. Is everyone able to see the slides even with the lights on? Okay, awesome. Great. Okay, so as I mentioned, there's an existing plan that has actually been approved 17 years ago on the site, way before we were ever involved. And what we are proposing is a revised plan that provides more public access and open space, uses less water, disturbs less habitat, provides more housing, removes the golf course that was originally planned for it, which would use a lot of water, and then generally better aligns with Cloverdale's values as described on the city's website. Here, there's a lot of detail on here that we're going to get into, so don't worry if you can't see all the words. But the main thing that we wanted to highlight is that on the left, you'll see the last approved plan, and then on the right is what we're proposing. And when I say last approved plan, the first version of the plan was approved 17 years ago, but since then, there have been a series of modifications that have happened, with the latest one being in 2018. We have been working on this project for a long time, and we started outreach to Cloverdale's leadership in February of 2023, which is almost exactly 3 years ago now, to really get to know the local context and make sure that the idea that we had would be something that would play well with Cloverdale. And since then, we've hosted and attended a huge number of events. This is actually not even all of them. It wouldn't all fit on the slide. But just in the last year, here are some of the things that we participated in. To give you sort of a few examples, we've hosted open houses in May, July, and October of last year. In the summer, we hosted an inclusive picnic with Clearwater Ranch, which is the special needs community in town. This was in the plaza, and this was really close to my heart because my younger brother has special needs, so it was a really cool way to get to know the Cloverdale community better. And then also in July and October, we hosted parks workshops where you'll see later in the plan, one of the things that we're proposing is to gift a huge portion of the site to the city as a large public riverfront park. And we wanted input from all of Cloverdale on the design of that park. And we've both in those workshops and also in the other events, we've been gathering feedback and input throughout this whole process. It's really shaped the plan that you'll see this evening. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Michael, who's going to talk to us about the process.
Thank you, Deb. We're going to trade back and forth throughout the presentation. And it's great to be here, and we're thrilled with the turnout. So what are we submitting to the city? At the end of the day, we're submitting something we call the entitlements package. We're going to explain. Oh, I'm sorry. Apologies. What I wanted to emphasize is, at the end of the day, what we're doing is submitting a package of materials that is called the entitlements package. We've already submitted a first draft, and the city's already given us a first round of review. We expect there to be several more cycles of review and feedback before we arrive on the final package. And our target is to try to get to a final package by late April of this year. You might ask, what is the entitlements package? I'm going to walk you through that. Excuse my coordination. The first element is a CEQA addendum, California Environmental Quality Act. We're doing actually a draft 275-page environmental analysis that builds on the existing EIR on the site. We are proposing some general plan amendments. As you may already know, there's a specific plan on the site. We are substantially amending the existing specific plan, the 2018 specific plan. We are introducing something new, which is called objective design standards. This is kind of the current approach to development. These are measurable standards like height, bulk, articulation, lot size, things like that to govern what happens on the site. We're going to be making some zoning amendments to support this plan. And then this is very important. We're negotiating a 25-year-old I'll try to keep it close. We're negotiating a 25-year document called the development agreement, which is basically a contract between the developer and the city of Cloverdale. There's an existing development agreement. We're amending it to allow all the uses and to help support the phasing of the project. And then last but not least, believe it or not, there is something called a master tentative map. This is a civil engineering document that does all the grading, the infrastructure, the stormwater, the public rights of way. This is sort of the master plan for how all the physical infrastructure and grading gets done on the site. And we just recently submitted the first draft of that. So this is quite a package. What happens next? Over the next 3 months, as we've emphasized, we are hoping to refine the draft based on feedback, actual feedback, your feedback, the city's feedback, other technical experts, their feedback. By late April, we're hoping to publish the final package, and there'll be a 20-day public review period. So on the city's website, and we'll also post it on our website, the public will have 20 days to peer through this package. The city staff, as part of that, will ultimately publish a staff report to the Planning Commission with their recommendations. We're hoping to have a Planning Commission hearing in May of 2026. After that commission hearing, if there are any recommended changes or modifications, we would incorporate them into the entitlements package. City staff will, of course, then issue another staff report. By the way, apologies, but I just really wanted people to understand the process, because what you're seeing is there's more opportunity in the future as well for you to participate. And then there'll be another public review period, this time 10 days. The public will be able to look at the final revised entitlement package. And then if all goes as planned, in June we'll be before City Council. There'll be 2 votes. The first hearing, which is the substantive vote, and then what's called the second reading. There'll be a second council hearing. So the project, the entitlements have to go through 2 City Council hearings, and we're targeting June. With that, I'd like to hand this over to Kevin about the city's role in the process.
Hey everyone, wow, there's lots of people here. It's amazing, it's great. So I'm Kevin Thompson, the city manager, and Michael's really outlined the process that we've been going through now. Part of the job that we're doing as staff is to ensure that we scrutinize and examine all of these documents that are being submitted and make sure that they're in the best interest of the city and they're in conformance with all of our rules, our zoning code, our general plan, and that type of thing. So we've assembled a great team. We've got planners, engineers, the attorney, also other staff members. So we've been submitting comments to them on all of the documents, and they've been responsive to those comments. Our goal is to really make those documents as good as they can before they come to you, and to really have scrutinized those on a level that is at a professional level, using our engineers and attorneys and everyone. So by the time it gets to council, just know that it has been really examined by us and made multiple comments back and forth, making them all better documents.
Thanks, Kevin. Next slide. I want to pause for a moment, and you saw a smaller version of this, and I do want to, and this is will be on our website. You can linger on it as much as you want, but I just want to describe. There are 5 land use categories of the specific plan. The yellow is what we call village residential. This is where single-family homes and some townhomes would be located. This is very walkable and compact. This is not typical suburban style large lot homes. These are small lot homes, more like cottages or townhomes. That's the yellow, okay? The blue is our most mixed-use area. It's called Village Mixed Use. If you notice, this is very similar to the 2018 plan, which also proposed mixed uses in this area. The primary use that we think will be in this area is a senior housing project. We're hoping to have a 150 unit to 200 unit senior housing project in this location. There might also be other mixed uses like light industrial. There could be some small office, and there's going to be some surface parking. And then the purple, most importantly, is a resort hotel site. The city, as you may know, has been hoping to have a resort hotel here for a very long time. The plan would allow up to 200 keys or 200 room hotel on the site. We don't think that that size actually is necessarily what the market wants. We are right now imagining the hotel might be 125 rooms. There might be some hotel associated residential. That's the purple. Okay, so there'd be a spa, restaurants, what you would imagine in a hotel. These are planned areas. They are not projects. I can't emphasize this enough. This is a planned framework. It's not a project approval. And then I want to just give you a preview of what could be. This is obviously a conceptual watercolor illustration, but we wanted to give you some physical sense of what this village might look like at build-out and how it sits in the landscape. And for us, it's been extremely important that this village nestle into the existing oak trees and really take advantage of the topography that's there. This is not a bulldoze and grade approach. This is a much more site-sensitive approach. Protecting the drainage, for example, that's already there. Okay, with that, I'm going to pass it over to Devin.
Thank you, Michael. And so what Michael just shared is sort of the culmination of a huge amount of work that we've been doing over a long period of time. And we wanted to walk through how we arrived there so people can understand the different pieces of the plan that we are proposing. So starting with the site, here's an aerial photograph of the property. And then here is sort of the proposed village neighborhood that we're proposing with those same land use areas that Michael mentioned. And so one of our key principles here is to work with the landscape. And as you can see in this photograph, there's some really beautiful green woodland groves that are throughout the site. And one of our big goals was to preserve those trees that are already on the site. Even though a lot of the past uses were industrial and agricultural, still some of the most beautiful natural habitats are still intact on the site, and that was a real priority for us. Because of those industrial and agricultural uses, though, some of the trees had been cut down many years ago. And so another goal that we have is to expand those woodland groves and sort of create more natural habitats and more beautiful trees on the property. And then the land uses are sort of tucked within those groves so that we are disturbing the site as little as possible. And then another really important feature of this plan is something that we call the necklace, which is a trail system that would tie all the way through the neighborhood and then actually connect into the rest of the town as well to make it so that people can get in and out of this neighborhood really easily. And so what we wanted to do was take you on a little walk along the necklace, so what you might see once this plan is actually built out over the next decade or so. So we wanted to start with the hotel because that's something that we've heard is really important to the city. And so this is a concept design of a potential hotel. This is going to go through many, many iterations before anything is decided or approved. But you can see, it's facing off to the Mayacamas Mountains, and it's got multiple buildings. One of the things we'd like to do is break up the hotel into multiple smaller buildings so that it doesn't look like this one giant hulking institution. And then as you walk around, the hotel is going to be on what we call a piazza, which is sort of a public space with the hotel restaurant, maybe a gelato shop, and some other uses around in this beautiful public space. And it's a three-sided piazza with the fourth side the view to the Mayacamas Mountains. This is going to be, I think, my favorite part of the whole project if we end up building this thing out. And then continuing along the necklace, there's something we call the promenade, which is part of the trail system. And you can kind of think of it almost like a boardwalk in the sense that on one side, there's this beautiful view into the valley with the mountains in the background, and then on the other side, there's homes and a residential neighborhood. And this is one of the things that ties it all together. Continuing on, in those woodland groves that we want to both preserve and expand, here are some precedent images that we find beautiful that are going to inspire those parks. And they're going to be these green fingers that go throughout the neighborhoods. And then continuing along on the necklace, now we're on the east side of the site, close to the river. We are proposing to gift a very large public park that we would build, construct, and pay for, and if the city wishes, we could gift to the city. And right now, this site is completely privately owned, and we want, and not publicly accessible, and we really want to change that. We want to bring all of Cloverdale into this property and expand more access to the riverfront. And actually, one other point on that is, in the previous iteration of the plan, the currently approved plan, this is all planned to be a private golf course. And so one of the changes that we're excited about is making it open to the public. We also want this to be a very family-friendly place for kids and people of all ages. And so we also want to create play areas both in the park, but also throughout the neighborhood, both for the people who live in that neighborhood to be able to use, but then also people in all of Cloverdale. We also think that because there's so much land here, there's a really cool opportunity for public art and sculpture. One of my dreams for this is we could extend the Cloverdale Art Sculpture Trail into the site as one of the ways of knitting into downtown. Another part of the plan that we're proposing is an outdoor amphitheater. From talking to folks in town, we liked the idea of adding a venue in the site. But also one that would be complementary to the existing wonderful venues that already exist. And so we heard that having an outdoor venue for music or concerts or weddings would be something that would be really complementary to the rest of town. One small note, some of you I see are familiar faces here, and I know I've talked about Chautauqua a lot, so I'll try to keep this brief. But a huge amount of the inspiration for this project comes from a place that I have been going to my entire life, called Chautauqua, where a town in western New York where my grandmother lives. And it's this wonderful town that reminds me a lot of Cloverdale, where people sit on their front porches and they really know their neighbors. And one of the things that makes Chautauqua so special is that every summer they host 9 weeks of programming with lectures and workshops and performances and kids camps. And it's kind of like a college campus, but it's multi-generational. And so one of the reasons why we wanted to have a venue on the site was to be able to have Chautauqua-like programming both in the neighborhood, but then also throughout all of Cloverdale. And here are a few more photos of Chautauqua as well that have been a big inspiration for us. Okay, so we're almost at the end of the tour, but one of the places I wanted to dwell on was the River Park. And as I mentioned, we had these parks workshops where we collected a huge amount of input from the community to shape this plan. We've also been meeting with other public agency advisors and community stakeholder groups that are familiar with river restoration, know a lot about parks, and biking and hiking that have really informed this plan as well. The location of the park where we're proposing to give to the city currently has a big pile of dirt that's called the reusable fill area. And Michael's going to speak more to this later in the FAQ section, but that is a huge amount of wood waste that was left over by one of the previous owners of the site. And so one of the interesting design challenges that we have is figuring out what to do with that dirt and how to sculpt it in a way that is really beautiful and contributes to a wonderful park. So here is an aerial of just the east side, which is where that reusable fill area is, and where we're proposing to construct a park. And here is a concept design of what that park could look like. You'll notice that it includes trails, it includes habitat restoration, riparian and restoration, and then also sports fields complex and restroom, which was one of the specific requests that we've gotten from the communities to provide more sports fields for kids. And then also, of course, public parking, which is very important for people to be able to get to the site. Well, that slide didn't fully load, but I think it's the same slide as that aerial that you saw earlier, so you're not missing too much. Okay, well with that, that is the overview of the project. We wanted to be able to set the stage for all of the FAQs. But now what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the top questions that we received, and the ones that we heard most frequently. And then after that, we're going to open it up for people to come up and ask more questions. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Michael.
Thank you, Devin. So the FAQ, what we're presenting now are like the headlines. The details are in that handout, and there's even more details on the website. And I want to say the website, the FAQ website is both on the Esmeralda website, and the city has posted the FAQ as well. So this is the crib notes, okay? What you have is Reader's Digest, and if you want to read the novel, go to the website, okay? There is a lot of information. So I've been doing real estate development for 25 years, and I've never published this much information in an FAQ ever. So I wanted to say something about that. We have been inspired and both surprised by the level of engagement. And sometimes you don't get any engagement, sometimes you get a lot. And we're trying to treat you as intelligent citizens and give you the data. And that's our approach.